Why is managing our blood sugar so important, right? What happens when our blood sugar goes kind of out of whack? And then our hormones are out of whack, and then the hormones are out of whack, then something else goes out of whack. So it's like a chain reaction, right? That's what is happening. And that's what we're going to talk with Katie. Katie is a holistic nutritionist. And just hang on for 1 second when I get her in. Just for 1 second. She's be right here with us. And we will be talking about managing your blood sugar effectively. Hi, Katie. How are you?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Great, great. Happy Friday here.
I know, happy Friday. It's
Yeah.
been a week, so
So to
I'm excited.
everyone, we are going to be talking about managing our blood sugar. Why is it so important? We have Katie Bressack. She is like a star nutritionist here, holistic nutritionist. I was reading on your blog. You also had some issues, in your fertility, and you had to change your nutrition. So just walk us a little bit about your journey, and then we'll go back to our managing blood sugar.
Yeah, so I am a mom now of 11-month-old twin boys. They're
Oh,
identical.
wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. So it was a 6-year journey, and I had a few miscarriages, found out that I had hypothyroidism, and then Hashimoto's, and then Epstein-Barr virus, and it just was like one hit after the other. I also had some painful sex because I had a DNC procedure after my second miscarriage, and I basically had all these things that kept coming up and up and up. And at the, I believe at the root of all of that was just really diving deeper into nutrition and being like, okay, I thought I was eating really healthy. I thought I was doing everything that was going to help me, but then learning about the thyroid conditions and the Hashimoto's and then Epstein-Barr, I was like, okay, so there's got to be some inflammation in here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then working with endocrinologists, a naturopathic doctor, but really working with a lot of I found this woman who does myofascial release,
Wow.
and it was life changing in terms of just like pelvic floor dysfunction and so many things that a lot of women don't really necessarily talk about. But painful sex can happen after any sort of trauma, but especially like a DNC procedure, which is basically when they go in after a miscarriage and clean everything out, make sure that there's nothing left, polyps, just
I
so they
see.
can like test
Mm-hmm.
to see what's going on. And it was just abnormal chromosomes. But it was after that procedure that I started having painful sex and found this woman who does internal womb support with myofascial release, and just working with so many different types of um oh god, what's the word I'm looking for, mommy brain, not therapist, what's, I guess a therapist in a way,
Yeah.
but long story short, it was just, I feel like there was just a lot of inflammation after having so many different things like thrown at me,
Yeah.
and at the root of it is really your blood sugar, right?
Yeah.
um
Exactly. And that's the topic right now. It's the blood sugar. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like what I mentioned before, I'm like, I thought I was eating really healthy. I thought I was doing all the things, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you know what? I do get really hangry sometimes. Oh, I'm probably not getting enough of the protein in with my snacks. And after going through a long fertility journey, you're at some points I was just like, whatever. Like just give me whatever. I just want to eat whatever. I just want to feel like comfort.
Yeah.
Um, but blood sugar, and this is the thing, right? Like every time I kind of bring it up and talk about it, everyone's like, oh, but that sounds so simple. Like
Yeah.
what about liver protocols, and what about like all these herbs? And I'm like, yeah, like that's great and that's amazing, and there's so many things that you can do, like acupuncture and herbal support.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, most women that I've worked with do feel hangry. Like their blood sugar drops rapidly over the course of the day. They're having a really hard time sleeping, brain fog.
I'm
Um,
I'm I'm one of them.
yeah, like brain fog, um, feeling estrogen dominant. I know you did a live on this
Yeah.
recently, but just all of these things. And it's like, we got to go back to the basics. And I think one of the most common things that I like to talk about with my clients in my group program or one-on-one is just like, okay, there's so many things that we can do, but most of the time we forget about the basic things and eating, right? Eating meals, not grazing and snacking all day, but actually like eating meals is one of the most important things that you can do. And there's hundreds and hundreds of pages of research on this. Like, this is not something that like you and I are like just throwing out there.
Sure.
Just like, try
Absolutely.
it. There's so much research on this, not only for fertility, but just for hormonal balance, just for getting your period regulated again, PMS, mood swings, if you're having lots of cramps. It really, whatever you put into your body is how your body's going to respond month after month. And interestingly enough, I think a lot of women are not eating enough.
Yeah.
I feel like
we
a
all
lot
want
of us
to lose weight, right? We all.
Yes. And we're under eating.
Yes.
And it's just making us feel worse, right? We're just feel more brain fog, more energy slumps, more estrogen dominance, migraines, headaches, all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, long story short, that's kind of my little journey. And then kind of really going, for me personally too, like going back to the basics and being like, okay, I've tried all these things, but am I actually nourishing myself? Because stress plays such a huge role in that when you are struggling and you have lots of challenges with your health and you're just trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And also managing stress, right? Because so often I always say, like, what comes first, the stress or the sugar? Are you craving sugar because you're stressed, or are you stressed and then you're craving sugar?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good one, because we eat sugar, we are stressed out. Oh, I'm going to grab a piece of chocolate. Oh, all of us do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm stressed out and I'm like, oh, I need some sugar and it'll calm me down. But it's getting the opposite, to your point.
Yeah. And I always say, like, are you a chocoholic or a carboholic? And I'm personally a carboholic. Like, I could eat a whole container of crackers. Like, I love crackers. I love bread. But, you know, a lot of us gravitate towards one or the other, and, you know, they both turn into sugar once you eat them. So many of us are like just surviving off of some sort of sugar throughout the day. But yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, so now, so how do we manage this sugar, right? Managing the blood sugar. What do we do? Because all of us have these, hunger pangs, and then there's, all these cravings, the sugar, all that kind of things. What do we do to manage all these, regulate, I should say that, right? The blood sugar levels throughout the day.
Yeah. So I think the one thing that to look at is how, like, bookending your day and like really looking and taking a closer look at that first hour of your day. So many of us are waking up, grabbing coffee, running out the door. Well, maybe we used to run out the door. Now we're kind of like home. More of us are home, I guess I should say. But a lot of times we're not eating anything until maybe like 11 noon. And I know intermittent fasting is all the rage and everyone's talking about it, but most of the women, I would say 99.9% of all the women I've ever worked with, it doesn't work for them. They end up feeling more hungry. They have more PMS. Their periods kind of go out of whack. So it's really like, are you waking up and having water, right? We feel tired in the morning because we're dehydrated. So like, let's get some water in our body. And then are you putting food into your body? And a lot of times we need to like chew food so that it actually lets our brain know and our body know that we're like nourishing ourselves. So water, food. And then I think a lot of us are surviving on caffeine and having less and less of coffee, maybe having more green teas, herbal teas, even matcha, things that are a little bit more gentle on your adrenals, because coffee is very acidic, right? Not great for your gut, depleting magnesium, calcium, B vitamins and things like that. So but I think that first hour of the morning, like how we start our day, and if you don't have like an hour, you don't need an hour, right? But it's like water, food, and then the caffeine. I've noticed better energy throughout the day, less brain fog, more just feeling more like grounded, more alert in your body, less sugar cravings, and being able to like cope and manage stress better, I find. And then you really want to think about having protein, healthy fats, and fiber at every single meal and snack. So always pairing like fruit with protein when you're having a snack. And protein doesn't necessarily have to be animal-based protein, right? It can be plant-based protein, nuts, seeds, beans, legumes, but always making sure you're getting enough protein along with healthy fats. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I feel like there's still a little bit of like a subconscious stigma with healthy fat. And healthy fat is so essential for hormone production. So avocado, I mean, I eat at least an avocado a day. I love it. I'm in California, like, I love avocados. They're great for your skin too. But avocados, walnuts, olives, olive oil, salmon, but lots of healthy fats. And then fiber, you know, I think a lot of us are not getting enough fiber into our body. And like, we could talk all about digestion, right? And all about estrogen, but the beginning step of balancing your blood sugar really sets up that foundation so that we can dive deeper and work on your gut and work on your liver, working with your hormonal cycle. But this is honestly pretty challenging because a lot of us are just kind of putting eating on the back burner. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of women that are busy and have full-time jobs, maybe even families, lots of things going on, kind of like forget to eat. My husband's always like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, like sometimes I just forget. I get busy. Like I have a reminder on my calendar, like time to eat lunch. He's never forgotten to eat ever. Right. Men, it's just an interesting, I have no idea what the difference is, but like he's never hangry ever. Like I've never seen this man hangry because he like eats when he's hungry. And I feel like a lot of the women I work with are like, yeah, I like actually sometimes forget to eat lunch, or I forget that it's 9 o'clock at night and I haven't had dinner yet. So it's also about consistent meal times, and making sure that you're actually eating meals rather than like grazing throughout the day. I feel like a lot of times we're like picking at different foods, and most of the time it's not protein or fat or fiber. It's mostly like quick carbs. And a lot of times when you're eating those things, you just get more sugar cravings, right? Or carb cravings, which are literally the same thing.
Okay, so these are great tips on managing your blood sugar. You know, we talked about the proteins and we talked about the fiber, we talked about the water in the morning. So any particular particular type of vegetables or fruits that we should focus on, like cruciferous or nightshades or rainbow, or anything particular that you want from a vegetable and fruit point of view?
I mean, the fiber is so important. I think a lot of like, one, don't be afraid of eating fruit, right? Obviously, if you're pre-diabetic or have diabetes, maybe more low glycemic fruit. Again, talk to your doctor, your health history, all of those things. But I think we shouldn't be afraid to eat fruit. And actually, like, again, eating fruit, right? Letting your body actually have that. A lot of people tell me that they drink lots of juice. It's like, oh, you're not getting any fiber. Like you're stripping the fiber from that. And then vegetables in general, I think eating a variety of vegetables is really important. Again, depending on like your health history, depending on if there's lots of estrogen dominance going on, like add more broccoli, add more Brussels sprouts, think carrots, things like that. But I think in general, just making sure that you're getting a minimum of 3 to 6 cups of fiber a day is a good goal to like start with. And a lot of people are nervous when you start adding the fiber in, because like, I'm going to feel super bloated and I'm going to have gas. Like a lot of people aren't eating the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts because of that. And I was like, okay, but we've got to support your gut too, because you shouldn't be responding like, like most people get gassy with broccoli, right? Let's be real. But like if everything that you're eating causes bloating, that we've got to dive even deeper with that. But just a wide variety. I mean, but if you hate say you hate kale, then don't
Mm-hmm.
force yourself to eat kale. Find another dark leafy green, right? I think a
Yeah.
lot of us are like forcing us to eat vegetables we might not like, so then we're just not eating enough. So
Mm-hmm.
find the foods that you actually enjoy eating and just try to have a variety of that
Okay.
as well.
So, what else should we focus on if we want to manage our blood sugar? In addition to the food and the nutrition you talked about, anything else that we should be focused? You think stress plays an important role for managing our blood sugar?
1,000%. Yeah. Like stress. I mean, I always say, wish I had a magic wand and I could just like take the stress away.
Mm-hmm.
Can't. But stress plays a huge part in that because we're human. And when we are stressed out, we want comfort. And a lot of times the comfort food comes in with sugar.
Yeah.
So I think, again, bookmarking the beginning and the end of the day, like sleep plays a huge role in how you can actually cope and manage with stress.
Mm-hmm.
I know personally, like if I don't get a good night's sleep, like let's not hang out. Like I'm not gonna be like the best person to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I know I have 11-month-old twins, but we've been like so teaching them like good sleep habits as well. And like we all sleep through the night, thank God. But I even see it with them, like at such a young age, you know, if they're not getting enough sleep, they're off. Like they start being sloppy and like they feel they're falling and all these things. But sleep is key. And again, just kind of like eating food, I feel like we've put sleep on the back burner too. And having good sleep habits is essential for your blood sugar. It's essential for your stress management. And I think it becomes this like cycle where if you're not getting enough sleep, then you just grab the coffee first thing in the morning and then you forget to eat and then you just have the ice cream and it's kind of this like cycle of just, because sugar is energy, right? Your body's going to like gravitate towards energy foods. But let's try to just like, if you have a bad night's sleep and it's not good quality sleep, let's just wake up in the morning and have a really protein-based breakfast, right? Drink lots of water, do some deep breathing. You know, you can re-regulate throughout the day. But it takes time and patience to start creating new habits, obviously, but it can be done. And I always say too, whenever you're craving, a lot of times you might not be craving an avocado, you might be craving French fries, but your body actually needs more healthy fat. Same with sugar, right? When we're craving sugar, maybe we haven't had enough protein, we haven't had enough water. And it's so important for every stage of hormones, whether you're trying to conceive, whether you're going through perimenopause or menopause, or if you're just trying to kind of have regular periods and have less painful periods. This is the base to pretty much all of women's health, especially hormonal health. Like this is it. And this is what when I work with my clients, if they're starting to like struggle and something changes, we always go back, like, tell me about what you're eating. How are you feeling hangry? And like, oh my God, you're right. Like let me go back. Like I'm not doing what I was doing before. So I think it's a practice, something that we can constantly be doing different things to really support ourselves.
That's great, because you know the funny thing is I was reading up just before our session and it said Chinese food, right? Chinese food that we all love, get the blood sugar up when you eat Chinese food. So that's like, all the foods like Chinese food will get your blood sugar up.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I guess it depends on like what it is, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of Chinese food has protein and vegetables, so it probably depends on what you're I would assume what you're ordering.
Correct. And maybe the oily part, right? If you're having too much oily part of it, that
possibly. And I think there's a difference too of like Chinese food in America versus when you're eating in China too. So
yes.
Yeah, depending on where you're ordering from, because I know there's really good Chinese restaurants that are not like the fast kind of food, Chinese restaurants as well.
Yes.
So yeah, I personally I don't know exactly, but I think that there's a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, because there's still the protein. There's still,
yeah,
you can still get
yeah.
the
They
fiber.
have a balanced. They have
yeah, you can definitely
their
still
meals
balance.
are very balanced with vegetables, protein, like you said, right?
Yeah, I think like in any culture, you know, going back to the basics of like what protein, what fiber, what healthy fat options are available.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I think an amazing session. You know, I really appreciate you sharing your personal story, because I think it always kind of brings the, you know, rather than advocating do this, it brings a very human element that you personally went through so many issues, and now you are, you know, perfectly normal by managing everything through your food, and that's what is so fascinating.
I've had postpartum thyroiditis. You know, like my thyroid's been going from hyper to hyper the whole time. So that's been like interesting to manage, but I do think like postpartum recovery wise, like my biggest goal was just like making sure that I was eating, keep balancing my hormones, focusing on sleep as much as I can. It's been helpful to do that too.
Well, thank you so much, Katie, for being with us. I see people joining now. We are wrapping up our session. The session was on managing your blood sugar, and if you don't manage your blood sugar, how your hormone becomes imbalanced. And someone said, well, very informational. Thank you. You're welcome. And we are going to wrap up now. And if everyone doesn't catch it, you can watch the re-recording. It'll be on our Insta feed. Anything else you'd like to add, Katie, before I
No, this
wrap
is
up?
great. Thanks for having me. And again, I think just like looking at what you're eating, and really focusing on proteins, healthy fats, fiber, no matter where you live, no matter what your culture, you know, I think you can find different things to put on your plate.
Thank you so much to all the viewers for being supporting us every single day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.